just like, I'll just skip it at that point, which is like something I don't do.
Yeah, when I used to be in the restaurant business, when I was serving, like sometimes like if I had a double, like meaning like you probably know this, but like working morning shift and like dinner shift, or like breakfast, lunch, or pretty much lunch shift and dinner shift, which is like the double. And my brother and I would work out after our double at like 10:30 p.m. So we were there at the restaurant at like 10 a.m., leave at 10 p.m., and then drive to the gym. Well, probably eat something a little bit beforehand, and then take pre-workout, and then work out at like 10:30, 11 p.m. It was gross. But those were like not too bad, because see, the thing is, like, if I worked in the morning the next day, it wouldn't be till 10 a.m. anyways.
Yeah.
So like I could go to bed at like midnight, 1 a.m. and then still wake up at like 8 or 9 a.m. and still be fine.
Yeah. When I worked at the sports center in hometown in the summer of 2016 and like early fall, I would do doubles sometimes. So I'd work like my like career job, which was like energy auditor. So that was like the job that I was making. Like, and then I just made like, I don't know, probably minimum wage, just above minimum wage. But I was trying to make as much money as possible so I could pay off my student loans, blah, blah, blah. So I would work like 8 to 5 in my career job, the energy auditor job. But I would get up at like 4 and I'd start like getting my like reports ready and stuff like that. So, I mean, I pretty much worked like from like 4 or 5 till 5, so like 12 hours, right? And like, you know, I would like goof off a little bit in the morning, but I would like have my like Microsoft Surface open. I'd have my like my Manila folders open with like all my customer accounts. I would use Google SketchUp to sketch up like their like the homes that I was going to be auditing that day, yada yada. Kind of get myself in like the right mental space, prep all like the paperwork that I need to do, so like I could be in and out, and I could get super efficient. Like there was some days if I was like in town, I could be like in and out of 3 jobs in like 5 or 6 hours, which like most people it took like 8 or 9 hours. So if I did that, then I could cruise over to the sports center and I could like catch like a nice long lift if I was going to do like a shift. And then so I'd wake up at 4, work until 5 sometimes in the afternoon. So 4 a.m. work until 5 in the afternoon, and then I would work like 5 till 8 or 9 at the sports center, and then like cruise on home, be to bed by like 10, and like be back up by like 4. It was ridiculous.
Isn't that funny on how much like someone like you and I sacrifice just to lift?
Yeah, and I would lift. The cool thing was like the manager there, Brian, it was like super cool. He was like if you want to lift, like, you know, make sure you check on the desk every once in a while, especially if, you know, somebody wants to sign up or they want to do a day pass. But he was like, it's good for the gym. Like we want to promote like this like physical culture. So like go ahead, get a lift in. So I'd like,
yeah, I wish gyms like it like if like it would be a pretty good idea, like if someone was like a front desk worker at a gym, they had like a buzzer beater, like when you walked in, you're like, if you're new or want to sign up, or if you need to bring in a guest, hit this button, and then zap, and then it zaps you. But see, the thing is, the only way that would work, because you'd have people sometimes walking around the gym that's not a member, what you do is the double door system where you had a pass and only one person like fits in. And then if the person needed a guest in, they had to hit the button and be like, hey, I'm with that guy, I need a guest in, or I'm with that girl.
Yeah, that's true. That's a lot of tech though. It was like, that was such an old school gym. It's so funny. Like everything was iron there and stuff like that.
Yeah, my brother and I were talking about it the other day. Speaking of old gyms, the gym that I started at is called Diamond's Gym. It was probably like a spinoff of like Gold's Gym, but like for the Midwest, like these people probably liked Gold's Gym, or they're from like the West Coast and they wanted to bring like that, you know, heavy iron, you know, heavy metal like workout session to like the Midwest. We were talking about it, like the dumbbells went up to like 300 pounds. Like
what?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you a gym today that goes up to 300 pounds. Like today, my gym goes up to 150 pounds. So that's not even, yeah.
That's crazy too, yeah.
Yeah. And what was really interesting about the tech involved with it, like old school gyms, is they compiled their music through the sound system through a CD player back in the day. And I remember there's a 6'8" guy we were talking about. There's a 6'8" guy. He must have been like almost 300 pounds, like almost solid muscle, like obviously on the juice. And this is when I was 16, and my brother was like, I think he's 3 years older than me, so he's like 19, 20 at the time.
Yeah.
And when he was at the gym, like say if he was about to do something really serious or really heavy or like really intense, like meaning like, you know, RP like 9, 10, like even if it was a hypertrophy movement, he would run to the front desk and say, turn that Kill Switch Engage song on right now. It was that Dio cover. What's Holy Diver? He'd say, put on Holy Diver now. So they would have to find the CD and then find the track for him, and then he would go and probably I'm not even shitting you, probably like flat dumbbell press or whatever, like over 200-pound dumbbells like in each arm. Yeah,
like huge.
Yeah, he was huge. We also found like used needles sometimes in the locker room, so it was yeah. But it was like a great gym. Don't know why it was closed down. A lot of people like went there, but yeah, like that gym was so old school. I mean, some of like the machines padding was like ripped off. Like it just yeah. Well, if you go to Gold Gym by Venice, it actually gives you like that feel, because Gold Gyms in Venice, like as much as like famous people work out there and it's like expensive as hell to go there. The gym still has like that, you know, like old ass equipment that's been there since like Arnold like lifted there back in the day. I mean, Arnold still does probably here and there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, there's one gym that I would characterize as like a bodybuilding gym in my hometown. It's Rockies, which is like super cool. They definitely have like some old school equipment, but like it's probably one of the few gyms you'll find where dudes like walk around in stringers and stuff like that, and like you have a mix of different like populations, whatnot, but like you'll get some like jack dudes in there.
Yeah. I mean, I told you I met a IFBB pro, like I forgot what they call it when you're a little bit older. I don't know.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Like maybe a veteran league. I don't know. Like 55 and plus. I forgot what the division's called. It's 55 plus.
I know what you're saying.
But yeah, but I met him and he was huge and like.
Master.
Masters. I was like Myron hard as hell. Like he's got like a custom belt that's like IFBB Pro, and that's like yeah. Because I asked him because of that, and I saw him, and I was like, he's working out next to me, and usually, you know, I don't bother people, but it's interesting to talk to those people. Yeah. Like obviously, like I'll never get that big because I'm never probably gonna take the juice. But it's interesting to see.
Yeah,
really
super
interesting.
Do you know if he's ever competed with Dexter Jackson before?
I didn't ask. I only took like 2 seconds at a time. Like I was like, are you like IFBB? And he goes, yeah, I'm in the Masters division, 55 plus, and I was like, yeah, I just wanted to come here and come to talk to you and just say like, dude, you look great for your, like for your body type and everything. And he goes, yeah. And then he was working out with his wife too, so it's like pretty funny. It's like, cool. I don't know if like how long they've been married, but I mean, I'm assuming it's been for like the longest time he's been competing, because she goes, yeah, he looked good for his age. Like he's pretty big, but she looked really good for her age. But obviously she probably wasn't on the juice compared to him. Like she just looked like an average like lady pretty much. So, yeah. Oh, Roman, by the way, what do you got on these? What do you got on these?
What do you?
We're about to get the best head coach in the NFL. What do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Who are you picking up?
Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, really?
He just flew out to Minnesota, and they haven't announced it yet, but supposedly he's signing with the Vikings. Supposedly, rumors.
Dang. Okay. Is Kirk in his last year, or does he have one more year on his contract?
I think this is maybe his last, or he's got one more. But I don't know. People always ask me about the Kirk thing. You know, he said I'm crazy about the season. Like I've watched like every post conference of like Kirk Cousins, Mike Zimmer, and like maybe like one more player, like maybe Adam Thielen or like Justin Jefferson. I usually don't watch all the players, but like they'll ask him. They're like, "Well, what about your contract? What about your future in Minnesota?" And he always said like, it's like crazy. People on Twitter, they just like blow him up for like, taking up all the cap room and stuff. And he goes, you know what? Listen, I want to be in Minnesota. I think this is a great team. Like, I'll do anything in my nature to stay here, and I'll do what I have to. So that makes me believe that he, as much as like people think like maybe it's his fault for taking up all the money, but like also like with this new GM, maybe the new GM maybe works out a deal like, hey, like you really are taking up a lot of our cap. We would have to lose like people like Eric Kendricks or not Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr or like Adam Thielen if we don't like get some cap room. So you know what? It's just that conversation. It's just like people think like these players are like trying to just like steal all the money. Like sometimes they just want to play for a championship. Like if like Kirk Cousins thinks he's with a championship team, I'm pretty sure like he would make the right decision and say like, hey, cool, Minnesota, just pay me less. I'm already making millions.
And he might do things like I know sometimes people do like they'll have their contract reworked so it's like incentive based, for example, which they can like draw from like different funds or whatever. But that's interesting. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to go to a different team this offseason?
Yeah, supposedly. If he does, that means the Bears and the Vikings are going to take that division. I mean, I don't see the Packers taking the division because Devontae Adams is going to go. He's not staying with the Packers, and I wonder if like a lot of other people will go. It's kind of like Tom Brady and Gronk. Like Devontae Adams is like Aaron Rodgers. Like like Gronk. Remember when Tom Brady was about to retire or get traded, and Gronk was they were trying to trade him to the Lions, and he goes, how you gonna take me if I'm retired? So he retires, and then he came back, and then he worked a deal with the Buccaneers. So I mean, like people are smart like that. They'll do stuff. They're like, I'm not going to Detroit Lions. I'd rather retire.
So. I'm so bad for the Detroit Lions, man. I'm so stoked for the Super Bowl. Like finally the Bengals are good, And like I really love Joe Burrow, man. He's so funny in interviews and shit like that. And Jamar Chase, absolute freaking tank. Yeah. I love core. Freaking Joe Mixon. I think he's got a future there. Their defense can like kind of hold it down when they need to. I'm really excited for that. But the Lions are they like the most like losingest NFL franchise at this point? They've been so bad.
Either that it has to be either them or like the Jaguars. I mean, the Jaguars probably have to be one of like the worst winning percentages like ever.
Yeah.
Because the Jaguars they've gotten how many first round draft picks, and they're just like absolutely. I don't know. They were making, it's funny. Everyone like makes fun of the Dallas Cowboys. And sorry, people who are Cowboys fans, I really don't care. But they're like making fun of they're like Joe Burrow's now played in more playoff games than Dak Prescott, like the whole Dallas Cowboys, and like it's like 26 years of the Dallas Cowboys team. So because they always get like a lot of their stuff their way, like they have like the richest organization pretty much, I'd say. I think
maybe like the Troy Aikman years were insane.
Yeah. And who was his wide receiver? Michael Irvin, right?
Yeah.
That dude was OG. He really played a great role in The Longest Yard. Like he was funny as hell the whole movie. One of the best like wide receivers ever. So I mean, hey, good for them. But Roman, what the heck are we talking about today, buddy? Negative or positive?
Well, we're gonna talk about the negative and try and give it a positive spin. Is what we're gonna try and do. So yeah, hopefully this is an interesting topic for you all. This is something that I see like very like ubiquitous or like omnipresent is the word I'm looking for. So it's like all throughout the fitness industry, and I think that if we give it a little bit of like a twist or a spin, that I think it'll help people a whole lot more. So it's addressing the issue of negativity bias. So what I mean by that is the algorithm that exists in social media is typically like on the side of like something that's like outrageous or something that's like negative, like I can't believe this celebrity did this, or can you believe that Steve Cook like Steve Cook, like the 5 movements that you shouldn't do, you know, as opposed to saying like the 5 movements you should do type dealio. So I just want to like kind of bring attention to that, give some examples of how I think that that's like not super helpful or useful, especially for like first time beginner like lifters and people that are just starting their fitness, like not careers, but their fitness journeys, and then give some like potential alternatives.
Hell yeah, buddy. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, right? Because you mentioned some big names there, like Steve Cook. Like, it's crazy. It's like, I was talking to a buddy today, Alex. You know, he is a coach and like a strength coach, which we are supposed to have him on here. He'll probably be on here eventually, which we usually collab. We've been collabing with on Gainz podcast. So if you guys haven't checked him out, but it's kind of hard because the fitness industry right now, in all forms of social media, like you're talking about, it's crazy because when people put out some certain advice, it could be kind of negative towards like you were saying, like most of the time beginners, or most of the time people trying to get back in, which is like a very like sensitive side of fitness, because those are the people that probably need it the most. Like, I'm new to Instagram and I'm new to fitness, and I follow Steve Cook and he tells me I shouldn't be doing bicep curls, I shouldn't be doing squats, I shouldn't be doing benching, I shouldn't be doing deadlifts. And then he lists off like other things, but like he's pretty much, I'm not saying he said this, right?
Yeah.
And this is totally like made up right now. So if you're paying attention, please don't think I'm saying this about him per se. But now, when person that's new to Instagram, new to the fitness industry, and just maybe follows Steve Cook, and that person doesn't squat, doesn't deadlift, and doesn't do bicep curls, and then they're like, and it's kind of weird, right? Because a lot of those movements are some of the natural movements we do today, and if you probably don't practice those too, like, okay, that's one thing, but like a lot of those movements can actually help benefits the longevity of someone's like health, if they're out of shape, or if they're new to fitness and they want to get a lot stronger or a little bit more healthier in those models of movement per se. But overall, like that'd be crazy, because like, obviously Roman and I, like, we probably wouldn't post something like the 5 things you shouldn't be doing, and we wouldn't put like take out all hip hinge movements, take out all unilateral movements, stop eating carbs, and don't train fasted. Like, if we said that stuff, like, holy cow, like, please, like, we're gonna stop the show from there. But Roman, go on, buddy. I'm talking a little bit more than I wanted to.
No, that was a perfect illustration. That's like exactly what I wanted to get into. So one of the things that inspired this video is I saw a video and I was like, oh, I'm curious what this like YouTube creator's intake is on like what 5 movements not to do. And one of the things that they had mentioned, and I've seen this like so many times, so sometimes I wonder, like, is this an original thought, or is this something that somebody heard from somebody else, so they're just repeating the thing that they heard from somebody else, as opposed to like giving some like original thought to it. So I wanted to like kind of talk about that video. I won't like name the YouTube channel or like any names or anything like that.
Omar Isaf. No, I'm just kidding.
Omar's a man.
Shout out to Omar for being on the History Channel, but keep going.
That's super cool. I'm really pumped for it. You're freaking crushing it, bro. Keep it up. So one of the first things that they talked about was like no lateral raises, or no front raises, no dumbbell front raises. They're like, you get enough front delt activation with the with any type of pushing movement. So put down the dumbbells, like lie down on a bench and just start benching. And like that was a belief that I had for a period of time. Like, why do you have to do any like lateral or front? Keep on saying lateral. Any front delt raises? Like you're gonna hammer the front delt anytime you do any pushing movements. Well, sometimes in life, from like a general preparedness perspective, for example, you need to be able to bring things up in front of your body. So for example, you might be like picking up a bag
or
and
picking up a baby.
or picking up a baby, and the first thing that you have to do to be able to bring it up is bring it up in front of you before you can like bring it up close, right? So
in the next episode, 25 ways how to pick up a baby. Deadlift, squat, front raise.
no front raises though. You can't do front raises.
You've already done enough. You pushed a baby far enough, so you get.
You like squat down like this.
Yeah. You squat down, and then like you do like an upright row instead of like the front.
Like, what the hell is this guy doing?
I'm sorry. I had to interrupt.
So like it doesn't pass the sniff test from like the general preparedness argument, which is probably my go-to like first argument. So you can do this with any type of like fitness movement recommendation. If in like your day-to-day life you find that you have to do a certain activity and somebody says don't do this activity because it's bad for your shoulder joint, that's what people have said about front raises for years. It's bad for your back because of like the way that the lever shifts during the movement. It's a waste of time because you could just do chest pressing as opposed to doing a front raise. It doesn't seem to pass the sniff test because in life, sometimes I got to pick up a water jug and bring it to my face. So you pick it up. Oh, this is a front raise. So I've got to be able to at least be able to do this multiple times without fatiguing the muscle so much so that it causes any type of like injury risk. Okay, so you have to be able to do this movement. That being said, there's other reasons why front raises are still an effective tool for a lifter. I've actually started to incorporate them back into my routine because I found that they actually target the upper head of the pectoralis major muscle quite well for me. So I think that that's an area where my physique currently could use a little bit of filling in. So that's one of the major reasons that I do it. Well, people are like, why don't you do dumbbell incline? I also do dumbbell incline. It's just a variation. But I really like it, and it's been challenging. And it's one of those movements that I enjoy doing. So if I enjoy doing it, it's challenging, and it's filling the intended stimulus that I'm looking for. Like, boom, that's a great lift. Anything that fills those three criteria, boom, it's game on. Like, you can do it whenever you'd like. So from a bodybuilding perspective, I think that front raises could actually be like super effective. And then from a like a powerlifting perspective or a like muscular endurance perspective, it's actually super critical to be able to coordinate your scapular mobility and also having a high degree of endurance in the muscle to be able to, granted, you're going to be like holding lower weights, but to be able to stabilize at the shoulder joint before you bring a movement down, guess what the front raise is responsible for? At a point where your shoulder joint or your front delt, for example, your upper pec is most under the most tension or stimulus, you can develop that area of tension so that when you simulate that when you're under the bar, you'd also have to do it when you're under the bar, when you're powerlifting, for example. But by further strengthening and focusing on that front delt, you could be one of those like individuals that might have like an overemphasized like rear delt, for example. Super rare, almost never see it. But there's like niche use cases where it could make sense for somebody that's in powerlifting that wants to focus on that aspect of the lift, that they could incorporate it. So to say to somebody like the lateral or the front raise is like a useless lift, and just lay on a bench and bench or do like, incline, I think it's a little misguided. So I would say, in addition to this, you can also do XYZ, but by telling like a lifter, hey, this is a useless lift, and then like you enjoy that, and then you move over to something else, I think that it's like, it can be somewhat harmful to a newer lifter, or somebody that's like maybe like early intermediate that is looking to like, let's say, like level up their like bodybuilding career, for example. You've just taken away a potential tool in their arsenal by saying that.
Yeah, and also too, like probably like even like I was thinking like weightlifting movements too. Like they have to bring the bar. I mean, most of the time it's like kind of like an upright row when they're like snatching the bar. But like if you think about like a wide snatch, like a wide deadlift snatch, you kind of have to bring the bar like this, right? I mean, it's not like directly in front of you, but your angle of your arm and shoulder is just a little bit different, which probably more or less still hits like the same area of the joint. Um, but yeah, that's like interesting that you say, because I was also going to mention like at the end of what you were saying is like intermediate advanced people, like say someone like you and I, like we follow someone religiously, and I'm not saying we listen to everything that we believe from the people we listen to, but also sometimes you get into that to that notion where it's like, well, this guy knows a lot of information, or this girl knows a lot of information, so maybe they're right. And you start doing that, and it kind of like screws with your training. For an example, like if you're bodybuilding and you're about to compete, or if you're trying to cut down and you've been noticing, you're like, damn, the top part of my pec and my front shoulder is just like it looks so much smaller than like the last time I cut. Or powerlifting, like, what I've been noticing is like when I'm trying to bench, like the lift off seems pretty hard. When I'm pulling the bar and it just doesn't feel right on my shoulder. So, um, also like when people say stuff like that too, don't be afraid to try. I'd say also too, to like kind of play devil's advocate. Don't be afraid to try or not try those things, right? So like take it out and see what it does to your training. Take it or put it back in and see what it does with your training. Because
Yeah.
most of the time, sometimes like I'm not gonna say some lifts are useless to your goals, but sometimes you need to figure out if you do enjoy them, don't enjoy them. Does it help you towards that goal? Does it not help you towards that goal? Um, because like there's like been ideas that I'm like really hung over. Like, man, I don't want to do conventional deadlifts anymore. So maybe I'm gonna do sumo. I was doing sumo for what, like 4 to 6 weeks, and like yesterday I just brought my feet in to almost like conventional and pretty much put my arms inside my legs and did like a quarter sumo deadlift. I'd say. I don't even know if it was a quarter, but like, and slowly enough, like it feels like my body's just gonna move right back to the conventional, because like I wanted to love the idea, but you know, is it gonna maximize my deadlift strength? I don't know. Did I not take long enough time with it? Maybe, maybe not. Or do I just enjoy conventional so much that I don't see myself moving to sumo? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like, it's like some like, like Roman and I, like we always like preach, like we've been lifting for so long. I can't really count something out right now. Like I'm never gonna say I'm not gonna do sumo again. I'm never gonna say I'm not gonna do conventional again, because like if Roman and I posted like sumo deadlifts are key, like never do conventional. Obviously, a lot of powerlifters like joke around sumo's cheat, like you shouldn't do sumo, you should do conventional. But like, I don't think Roman and I would ever make a statement like that, because like no matter what leverages you have in whatever body type you have, like you could kind of work with what you got, and as long as it kind of works with your goals, like I mentioned earlier, and your performance, then nothing's stopping you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, especially on like the body type and then leverages. Because it's like for some people, like maybe it'd be worth it for them to try conventional and they've only done sumo. And they find that like although maybe they have favorable leverages for sumo, that they're able to get into like a better position. It's more comfortable. They just seem to have like crazy low back strength compared to like their glute strength for whatever reason. It's a fun like variation, whatever it is. So to be able to take that away from somebody, I think is like not not fair to that individual, especially as they're starting to like develop their knowledge and their abilities in physical movement.
Well, there you go, guys. If you think someone's right, always prove them wrong. No, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, so moral of the story, like, obviously some people that are high end in the fitness or high up in the fitness world, there could be a lot of negative bias within social media. Kind of take an eye on what you're seeing out there, evaluate it. Also, if you're newer, maybe stay off social media. Maybe stay away from the fitness industry and social media, or don't. Either way. But if you need help, let the Gainz podcast know. We would love to help. Hopefully, maybe Roman and I have been talking about it since this is like the end of it. We might try to start a blog / like coaching this year for a website. So let us know what you think. You might have not even made it this far, so I'm maybe just talking to myself at this point. But if you think that's a good idea, like if you want to see like Roman and I kind of write ideas up, because the podcast is one source of information, right? But there's days where Roman and I come up on information like on a daily basis, which we're not going to be putting out there as much as like we can't really put it out there as much as we can. So in my thoughts is if we have one of those information segues that we have like every day, or like something comes up, we saw it on the news, we saw it in the gym, there might be a place where we could write it down. And obviously I'm not talking about blogs where it's like, pages on pages of blogs where Roman and I are going to write like stories and story time. It could be short, it could be medium, it could be long, depending on like the structure of information one of us want to put out there. But if you're interested, long story short, if you're interested, please give us a comment, a DM, a message, and let us know what your thoughts are. We don't have an idea. We don't have any ideas that are closing right now. So this is all just rough ideas in the open air, but let us know what your thoughts on that in, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, all audio and video platforms for listening and watching. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.